We're happy you could join us for another exciting edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Theodore Henry. It is World Environment Day, and the theme is Accelerating Land Restoration, Drought Resilience, and Desertification Progress. It's a call to protect our natural surroundings. Believe it or not, it's also International Day for the fight against illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing. The focus here is to make fishing sustainable so that the marine ecosystem is not deprived of its living creatures. Stick around. There is a lot to come, so please stay tuned.
The Joint Select Committee of Parliament reviewing the Domestic Violence Act wants to hear from you. Review the act and share your opinions with the committee. You can find a copy of the act on the Parliament's website at www.japarliament.gov.jm under the heading Publications. Once you've reviewed the Act, submit your written opinions by Friday, June 14, 2024 to Clerk to the Houses, Gordon House, 81 Duke Street, Kingston, or email them at clark@japarliament.gov.jm. Let your voice be heard.
Good day, I'm Lisa Rowe and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, June 5, 2024. The government has placed an immediate ban on all ride-sharing apps and services in Jamaica. The announcement was made by the Minister of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport, Darrell Vaz, during his sectoral debate presentation in Parliament Tuesday. Minister Vaz says the move is to streamline operations in this sector in line with Jamaica's legal regime and to ensure the safety of commuters amidst numerous complaints of offences. The ride-share apps will be banned for 1 year in the first instance or until a new regulatory framework can be implemented. The ministry, in its directives, has instructed Cable and Wireless and its affiliates to restrict access to ride-sharing applications, including Uber, InDrive, 876 On The Go, Lyft, and Ride Jamaica.
My recommendation as of today, which will obviously have to be vetted for legal purposes, is that a ban on all of those ride-sharing apps with immediate effect until such time as we can come to the table and work out properly how these apps will be regulated in terms of making sure that safety, background checks of the drivers are done not only by the app, the ride-share apps, but by the Jamaican authorities, whether it be the police or the transport authority or whoever.
The minister says transport officials and ride-sharing operators are set to meet later this week. A submission was reportedly made to Cabinet 3 weeks ago to address the safety concerns of commuters and other issues, but the ban was fast-tracked following information by the police that an alleged sex offender who offered services on the InDrive app is implicated in the murder of 29-year-old primary school teacher Daniel Anglin.
This is just one of several cases that the police have had evidence that these ride-share apps have been used for criminal activity. And I am standing here today acting, and I will do everything to make sure that whatever is in the way, we clear it.
The Transport Authority, in collaboration with the Jamaica Urban Transit Company, JUTC, will be offering 16 new routes to public passenger vehicle PPV operators. Portfolio Minister Darrell Vaz says these routes are underserved by the state-owned bus company, and the aim is to improve transportation service to the public. 5 of these 16 will be stage carriage routes to be operated under a sub-franchise from the JUTC and will be for the use of coaster and minibuses only.
Operating through Halfway Tree and terminating in downtown Kingston. These routes will originate from Shortwood, Barbican, Doheny Park, Whitehall and Havendale, and Harbour View.
The remaining 11 will be offered to taxi operators who have been requesting additional routes. These will be distributed throughout the Kingston Metropolitan Transport Region. In addition, the Transport Authority is reviewing the PPV license categories with the intention to introduce a new VIP license category for the contract carriage sector. To facilitate this, amendments will be made to Section 61, Subsection 5 of the Road Traffic Amendment Regulation 2000.
Transport Authority has commenced work and will allow for persons applying for road license and commercial license to obtain their red plates directly rather than purchasing a white plate and then upgrade. This move will help to improve the overall efficiency of the system.
The Planning Institute of Jamaica, PIOJ, is reporting that the economy grew by an estimated 1.9% during the January to March quarter of this year. The information was released at the agency's quarterly press briefing last week. The economic growth is due to a 3% increase in the goods producing industry and 1.6% uptick in the services industry. Senior Director in the PIOJ's Economic Planning and Research Division, James Stewart, says the outturn represents the 12th consecutive quarter of growth. The performance for the review period largely reflects the impact of increased external demand, higher levels of business and consumer confidence, increased agricultural output, and continued expansion in the capacity utilization at alumina refineries.
Further growth in the economy was tempered by a contraction in the construction industry.
Real value added for construction fell by 4.5%, but this was offset by improved performance in the other three goods-producing industries. Mining and quarrying saw an impressive 24% growth. Agriculture, forestry and fishing increased by 7.7% and manufacturing by 2%. Meanwhile, 7 sectors contributed to the growth in the services industry, led by electricity and water supply, as well as hotels and restaurants.
The services industry was estimated to have grown by 1.6%, reflecting growth in all industries with the exception of the producers of government services. The improved performance largely resulted from industries associated with travel and tourism, as well as a general increase in demand for electricity associated with an expansion in economic activities.
The PIOJ is also projecting generally positive growth prospects for the April to June 2024 quarter. The Institute expects outturn within the range of 1.5 to 2.5% relative to the same period last year. Growth projection for the 2024-2025 fiscal year is within the range of 1 to 3%, with all industries forecast to expand.
The new growth phase refers to the fact that the country has fully recovered from the shock of COVID-19 and is achieving output levels above the pre-COVID high, that is, above 2019 output levels. Growth is expected to be led by hotels and restaurants, other services, transport, storage and communication, agriculture, forestry and fishing, and the manufacturing industry.
Stronger than expected growth in the economies of Jamaica's trading partners, a more robust increase in employment levels, and better than expected weather outcomes that will benefit the agricultural sector and the supply of water are among the factors expected to drive growth. And finally, the Ministry of Education and Youth says the primary exit profile (PEP) examinations scheduled for Thursday, June 6 will proceed as planned despite weather conditions affecting the island. Portfolio Minister Favour Williams says the decision was made after consultation with the Meteorological Service of Jamaica, as well as key stakeholders in the ministry's regions and schools. In a release issued today, the ministry says it is aware of the unease at a few primary schools that are serving as examination centres and has implemented measures to ensure the safety and convenience of students, teachers, and examination administration teams. Minister Williams confirms that students impacted by the weather are permitted to sit the exam at the safest and nearest school to their homes. She says arrangements have been made with the local authorities to facilitate the smooth transition of students from the Baxter's Mountain, Camberwell and May River primary schools in St. Mary who have been impacted by the adverse weather. The ministry asserts that it is committed to ensuring the safe completion of PEP while maintaining the integrity of the examination process. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Lisa Rowe. Thanks for watching.
The Overseas Examinations Commission, OEC, is modernizing and improving to effectively deliver its services to others. We'll now share with you how the organization is doing that. Since 1887, the Overseas Examinations Commission has been a standard bearer in the administering of assessments which would see takers moving to the next level. The Commission also provides attending services such as supervisors and invigilators, document certification, and digital papers. All these services were executed in a building that has stood the test of time. But as the days march on and the demand for OEC services increase, the time has come for a building that will meet the needs of 21st century learners.
The project is really about a rebirth of the organization. The architectural style you're talking about really, I think, refers to the old structure that is being replaced, and to some extent the existing head office, which is kind of the front part of the building. The old structure is going to be completely demolished, and it's going to be replaced with a 4 or 5 story structure that is going to be linked to the old building. Now, while there are going to be some functionality that perhaps looks the same, from an ergonomic perspective, it's not really so much about maintaining the architectural history of the entire complex. It's now about modernizing and actually improving on how the space is used. I believe construction should start sometime in around May, June, the latest, and it's slated to finish before the tail end of 2025. There's going to be, I think perhaps maybe a first in Jamaica, virtual reality and augmented reality lab, which really kind of enhances how the younger generation will be able to look at technology, to perhaps touch and feel it, not necessarily in a real way, but it gives more exposure in a digital world than they currently have access to. They're going to have more labs, there are going to be virtual classrooms, there's going to be actually a space reserved on the building for the CXC Secretariat. But it's really an expansion and modernization of the facilities and the spaces that are currently available for use. So it's about enhancing the existing operations and doing a lot more than is currently being done, with a major focus on digital transformation.
Most persons would know about Professor Neville Ying. He was board chairman for some 25 years. And since then we've had Mr. Brian Bennett-Easy, and it was fortuitous that he became chairman when he did, because he's from I like to say he's from cyberspace. So he understands very clearly where we need to go in terms of where the world is going in terms of technology and communication and that sort of things. We have to have very secure facilities. We have to have our vaults, and we have to have cameras, and we have to make sure that papers do not get into the hands of persons in the public before the exams are written. So that's a huge responsibility, and I have to commend the staff of the OEC over the years, because they have to interact with these papers, and we have to rely heavily on their integrity to ensure that the papers are preserved, and that when the papers are opened on the day of the examination or the days of the examination, that nobody had previously seen these questions. So kudos to the staff over the years.
you know, in this digital age, you probably hear CXC talking about online testing. What that means is the way examinations are proctored in Jamaica, that has to change in a dramatic way. And overseas exam, being the institution that is charged with leading all of that, has to be prepared. And we have been preparing for the last 5 or 6 years to do this. As a matter of fact, in preparing for that change, we have donated, I think, somewhere in the region of 3,500 computers to high schools across Jamaica. And that investment is in excess of $400 million, and that is expected to continue.
After more than 135 years of service, the Overseas Examinations Commission remains true to its mission of providing educational services with integrity, reliability, innovation, and efficiency.
As children of Her Excellency the Warrior Nanny of the Maroons, and as sons and daughters of Excellency Sam Sharp, Paul Bogle, George William Gordon, and Marcus Garvey, who paid for their lives and their freedoms, we have a duty to the present and the future generations. We have an obligation to fulfill the manifest destiny that is ours as a nation. We are a people with a message for the world. We are a nation that is destined. My vision, the vision of this government, is that we can achieve what any other country in the world has achieved.
It's better to be safe than sorry is a saying that many of us live by. We're 5 days into the hurricane season, and we want you to keep that phrase in mind and get prepared for what could lie ahead. Disasters can happen at any time, but if you are prepared, you may save your life and the things around you. Let's look at some of the effects of living in areas prone to disaster.
It is clear that some Jamaicans, have chosen to live in areas which are dangerous to live in, because those areas are susceptible to weather events. People have chosen to live on hillsides that are precarious. People have chosen to live very close to river banks, and some even build in river courses. We have quite a number of communities that are perched precariously again on gully banks. We give God thanks every day that when we have these major weather events, we have not seen any significant loss of life or damage. But I would say that it may not always be the case, and I would use this opportunity to urge Jamaicans that we understand the issues of settlement, we understand the issues of housing and where you can find marginal land to live on and so forth, but you should, in seeking to settle, in seeking to live, to find a place to live, take into consideration the environmental issues and the climate change issues, particularly the environmental issues having to do with your access to water, with the stability of the slope. If you have to clear the land, how will that affect the stability of the slope? And then pay attention to the climate change issues. You're going to have frequent weather events, and what we notice about these frequent weather events is that they are of high intensity. So normally we would have a 50-year weather event, but we're now having these 50-year weather events once every 2 years. And if that is the case,
then it is a creeping destruction of the infrastructure, and the probability of your house, which is built in a danger zone, being damaged. Government will try to respond, but the government will not be able to respond to everybody's needs all the time. So we have to be smart about it. Government has to enforce as well, has to put down its foot to say, listen, we understand the issues, but for your own safety, you just can't build in these areas anymore. We will have that conversation with the people and enforce the legislation that are in place, and maybe we would have to put in new legislation.
One of the problems that occurred in the past was the significant delay in the issuing of warrants for persons who did not pay at the tax office and did not attend the court. And so what happened there was that a culture of impunity had developed, where persons felt that when they received a ticket from the police, they could simply ignore it. So where we are now is that we are now current with the issuing of warrants in respect of the current cases. So what that means is that for persons who do not pay at the tax office, don't attend the court, the warrants are being issued and will be issued, and you will be arrested and brought before the court. If you do not wish to come to court, then go to the tax office. Also, you have the option of contesting it. So you don't pay at the tax office, but you must turn up at court on the date and time stated in the summons. Failing that, a warrant will be issued and you will be brought before the court.
Being able to drive yourself around without depending on others is something many of us desire. And there are some steps you must take to do this safely and legally, and that starts with your provisional driver's license. Not sure how to go about getting yours? We have just the feature to help you with that.
Imagine having the freedom to get yourself to where you want to go, when you want to go, and with whomever you want, really. Well, achieving that freedom could very well start with acquiring a provisional or learner's driver's license. And the steps to getting there? Pretty simple. A provisional driver's license permits an unlicensed individual to operate a motor vehicle on the public roads while under the supervision of a licensed driver. Persons can obtain their learner's permit from as early as age 17.
In order to acquire a provisional driver's license, you're going to need to have 3 passport size pictures that are signed by a JP, right? So you need you will need to fill out that application for a provisional driver's license form that must be filled out. Also, you need to show proof of identification, whether it's national ID, passport. If you don't have any of those, birth certificate.
So after you've presented all those documents, it's now time to do the road code test.
The road code test is free. There is no charge. It is easy. Once you have passed, a sealed document will be sent to the tax office. It must not be opened at all. If you open it, you will be tampering with it, and that would cause problems.
But in previous years, doing a road code test was never a requirement in getting your provisional driver's license. So why now?
We want to ensure, you see, that our road safety operations are in alignment with the Great Road Safety Nation and in accordance with United Nations road safety postulates, right? So we have signed on to UN road safety protocols. So we are ensuring that all our operations are in alignment with best practices, and also to ensure that at every step of the way, our population who are learning to drive are empowered.
So let's say you've passed your road code test. There's just one more step or stop to be made before you're handed your provisional driver's license.
Once you pass the free road code test, then you will head to the tax office and you will pay $1,800 for that provisional driver's license. Now, no fees are to be paid at any examination depot, and then you are on the quest to learn to drive. Now, you must ensure that that vehicle that you are operating, right, have the L both at the front and at the back. And the L must have a white background with a red L.
While it's fairly simple, the Island Traffic Authority has put provisions in place for those who may fail the road code test.
Remember now, we have a scheduling system, right? So persons are scheduled, and it depends on whether or not space is available. But oftentimes we try to facilitate as best as possible based on the schedule, right? So it's very important for persons to understand that in order to schedule your road code test, you can send an email to dita@mtw.gov.jm or driver's license at mtw.gov.jm, right? Send an email that you want to do your road code test, and with supernatural speed, you will get a response. I assure you, you'll get a response in less than 24 hours. For example, you have a driver's license to operate a motor car, and you want to operate a truck, right? Learn to drive a truck. You do not need to come and get a provisional driver's license. Go back to the process again. Since you already have a driver's license to operate a car, what you need to do now, put the L on the truck, the front and the back. So your driver's license now serves as a provisional driver's license, right? So because you would have already gone through that step already. So, and just in case you also want to operate a motorcycle, you would then ensure the L is on the vehicle, both at the front and at the back, and then that driver's license you use as the provisional driver's license.
And just like that, you are now the holder of your very own provisional driver's license.
Our pensioners are our society's backbone, and we want to make sure they are cared for. That is why the annual pension exemption and age relief exemption has been increased to $250,000 each. You have worked hard for your country, and we want you to have a little more peace of mind in retirement. Your government is caring for you.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
There are many vehicles traveling on the information highway, and we choose to go in some of the vehicles that are not carrying us anywhere. But on the information highway are vehicles that can uplift us, elevate us, that can take us to places that make us better people, that can help us to fulfill our dreams and aspirations. And so the government is interested in ensuring that every Jamaican can get access to the information highway, because information that you convert to knowledge that gives you wisdom is power. Information that you convert into knowledge from which you get wisdom makes you powerful. So it is not a waste of public resources to give every Jamaican citizen as much as we can access to the internet.
And that's a wrap for us here today, but be sure to join us tomorrow on this same station for another program that is geared to keep you informed. Until then, visit our website, jis.gov.jm, for this and everything you need to know. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Theodore Henry, reminding you that it is our collective and individual responsibility to preserve and tend to the world in which we all live.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.